Hi again. So during that last session, we heard a lot about how our internal actions, our internal messaging can shape employees' perception of employer brand. But I think everyone here knows that that line between internal and external is increasingly blurred, and that one of the most important tools that we have in attracting and retaining employees is having a dynamic product that people are excited to work on. So here to join me to discuss how you align that internal and external messaging to synthesize culture, product, and values into one cohesive employer brand are Angel Franklin, COO of Hinge, and Kim Chappell, Chief Brand Officer of Bobbie.
Hello, thank you.
Awesome. So I would love to just jump straight in. For anyone who's not familiar, I'd love for you to introduce your product and also state the ways that your product and company ethos have shaped your employer brand and employee experience. Angel, let's start with you.
Absolutely. So I'm Angel Franklin, CEO of Hinge. So you may have heard of Hinge. It's a really cool dating app. Lots of people get married off of Hinge. So got any Hinge couples in the room? Yay! Awesome. So, and we exist at Hinge really to help inspire real, meaningful connections, help people find, that partner. And we have a value and a principle around being designed to be deleted because we really want to help make that real for people. When you ask me the question about our employer brand and how that connects to our product, it's what we do every day. Every person at Hinge is thinking about relationships, thinking about how to enable people to have relationships. One of the things that we do that I really love is we actually do something at Hinge we call temperature checks, where we check in on our people and how they're doing, what are they excited about, where are they anxious, or what are their hopes. In those sections, and when we have those times with people, they might tell you, I got in a fight with my partner last night, and I'm really stressed about it. Or, I'm really excited about this new product feature we're going to launch, so even though I'm feeling stressed at home, I'm feeling optimistic about work. And I think that if you're helping people to have meaningful relationships and connections, you can't do that in the world if you're not doing that inside. And I think that's how we really see those things connect at Hinge.
That makes sense. Kim, what about Bobbie?
Hey, everybody. I'm Kim Chappell. I am the Chief Brand Officer at Bobbie. We are an organic infant formula company. Our mission is to evolve the conversation on how we choose to feed our babies, have every parent feel confidence over comparison in that choice. We know parenting culture is ripe with comparisons all over the board and guilt and shame, and we're trying to really remove that from the experience of becoming a parent. Any Bobbie parents in the audience? Hey, my people. All right, good. I love to hear it. And then as far as, the blurry lines between internal culture, external, your product, our team, probably not surprising to many people in the room, is 85% women, our corporate team, and 71% of our team has a baby or a child under 5. So we are truly living and breathing the experience of our customer. That is how our company started, from our founder and CEO, Laura Modi. She started this company because she wanted a better for you baby formula for her own children. She's since had 2 more children since she started that. I fed my 3rd baby, Bobbie. So people come into our ecosystem because they believe in that mission. They're living and breathing that experience, and they want to be a part of that change too. And so I just really feel like the value alignment really starts with wanting to use the product. We hire Bobbie moms all day long because they love the experience, they understand what we're doing, and they want to be a part of the cultural shift that we're doing.
That's great. And Kim, I know that that's also shaped some of the benefits internally at Bobbie. I know the Take Our Leave campaign was a really great marketing campaign, and Charter's parental leave policy with the NICU benefit is partially inspired by that. I'd love to hear you talk a little bit more about how benefits relate back to
So we really believe in walking the walk, and you cannot do that externally unless you're doing that internally first. You can't go out and do a campaign with Naomi Osaka about paid leave like we did last year unless your paid leave internally is incredibly buttoned up and people are proud of it and feel supported. So those receipts have to start in-house first before you can take it out to your consumer and before you can take it out to marketing. So at Bobbie, changing and evolving paid leave, we're actually the only infant formula company that we know of that has ever lobbied for paid leave. And controversially, most lobby against it. And it's really deeply important to us because, as many of you know, we are the only developed nation without a federal paid leave policy, and it impacts not only every single person on our team, whether you're a parent or not, it impacts every single one of our customers. So this is an issue that is really near and dear to us. So what we did is we created a best-in-class paid leave for the company of our size at the time, right? We give 4 months paid, but up to a year off protected. And we additionally put 16 weeks of protected NICU paid time off before your paid leave starts. And that was inspired by somebody in our own company who went into labor at 26 weeks. And we didn't have a NICU policy, right? But our chief people officer put one in place overnight because we needed one and we had to show up for her in that moment. And now we're able to go out and advocate for more NICU leave because we created it in-house. So then what we did is we wrote out the policy and we open sourced it to the internet. And we said, you guys can do this too. If we're a tiny startup doing this with 50 people at the time or something, you can do this too. And here's how we did it. And we asked people to take our leave. And I believe that that leave has now impacted over 1 million employees across the country who have literally taken our leave and implemented it in their own company. So I think you can do good internally. You can share that from B to B, but it also gives you the engine to be able to talk about those really important issues externally as well.
Absolutely.
It's so funny, I'm listening to you describe this, Kim, and when Kim and I met, I talked about the experience of being a mom and struggling through breastfeeding and what that experience was like, and so I just feel like such a connection. So it's so important that you see, obviously, that congruence. One of the things that's really interesting about Hinge, of course, we think about benefits and wanting to be able to enable our people. And we're all focused on in real life connection and healthy relationships. And so we actually have a benefit that's called a date stipend. So it's like it sounds. So we encourage our people to go out on dates, and we give them $100 a month to go out on a date, and that can be with a friend. You can take your mom to a movie, you can take a friend out, or you can go out on a romantic date. I think the idea is that we really want to, similar to what you said, Kim, really practice what we preach. We want to be able to have that congruence between what we say in the world. If we're trying to inspire in real life connection in the world, we've got to do that at home too. And so we help to actually support our employees in that process.
I love that. And that's a great example of how you can weave in your product in small ways into the employee experience, and it doesn't have to be these huge, big budget items. Angel, I'd love to stay with you because one of the ways that Hinge has defined employer brand is through your internal principles book, How We Do Things. I'd love to hear about how your team wove in product and kind of that consumer brand into your internal book.
Yeah, I mean, so the How We Do Things book, just to give you a little bit of context, this is kind of how we run things at Hinge. So it's so you could call it an internal culture book, but to be honest, it's largely focused on how we build product, how we think about our customers, our daters, our values around design to be deleted. We have principles that we think are important, like tend to trust. If you want to help people have meaningful relationships in the world, you have to really, help them build trust and engage in, healthy conflict. And so I think actually the way the How We Do Things book is really focused is based on how we think about our product experience in the world. And there's a lot of, congruence there. One of the things that we notice with our employees is, 90% of our employees say they're proud to work for Hinge and they feel like their work directly connects to the mission of Hinge. And that's across, every function. And so I think when you are looking at our product, you're looking at the how we do things and how we're bringing people together, you're really seeing that come together.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that I'm noticing about what both of you are saying is that so many people come to your company to work on the product. Being both high growth companies, how do you make sure you maintain that excitement and attraction quality even as you scale and roles become more diversified?
I think what I would say to that is one of the things that's really important to us at Bobbie is really passion over paper. And I will hire, and maybe this is my own insecurity coming out. I was hired for this job with very little marketing experience. I was a comms person, I was a brand person, I was a reporter for 10 years, and Laura asked me to join and lead marketing 5 years ago, and I said, I'm completely unqualified to do that. I think you've got the wrong gal. Get out of here. And she came back, she's like, no, I think you should do this. And she believed in me because I was so passionate about what she was building. And I knew that there was an opportunity to do better by parents. And I knew there was an opportunity for the brand. And that carries through, really. I was the first hire outside of the founders. that carries through to every single person that we bring into the company. You can be the most qualified person in the world, but if you're not ready to ride hard for us, if you're not so into what we're doing in our product, like you can't create that. You either have that or you don't. And I would rather hire, especially for the brand team, no surprise, I would rather hire somebody who is just so ready to go on this startup journey with us, to show up for our customers, to show up every day with heart and hustle, than someone who is qualified on paper with the right experience. And I just think that that carries through no matter what stage of the company you're at. I think it's really easy to get into like, well, we're in year 4 and we have to do it this way and we have to follow this playbook. No, you don't. You can do it how you want to do it, and you can keep your culture intact as you go based off of the people that you hire and how much they love what you're doing too.
Yeah. One of the things I think is important, and it's very similar to what you were saying, Kim, we do a culture interview at Hinge, and we are really looking to understand that person deeply, what their values are, what motivates them. And people are oftentimes surprised about it because it almost feels sometimes like you're in therapy. It's like, tell me more, I want to know more about you. But we ask people questions about when have you really went out of your way to bring somebody in? And what did you learn from that? When have you felt like you were left out? And what was that experience like for you? If we're trying to help people build connection, we want to know that you're invested in that way, deep within yourself, that you've done that work, or if you haven't, you've learned from it. And so I think very similarly, we're really looking for people that embody that and are inspired in the same way that our product is meant to be focused.
Absolutely. Switching gears a little bit, both of your companies have really memorable product marketing, and I'm curious what lessons talent leaders can learn from product marketing in terms of developing an employer brand that sticks and communicating about it well. Kim, we can start with you.
Well, I think that there's, again, the connection of what you're doing internally and how are you connecting that to your customer base and how are you connecting that to your marketing campaigns. Just to walk you guys through maybe one in particular. So we felt like, okay, again, majority of our team having babies, having toddlers. If you've been through that journey, it's hard to show up every day bright-eyed, ready to go to work, okay? So we understand that there's a challenge there. And we decided to do a nationwide survey around mental health and what was really going on with maternal mental health for the first year and that customer base that we're serving. 86% of parents were suffering from some sort of mental health. 67% were feeling guilty or shame around their feeding journey. So we asked ourselves, if that's what's happening externally, that's definitely what's happening internally at our company. What are we doing to better serve them? We brought in Headspace and the full premium one. We have mental health coverage now as part of our benefits for people, and we talk about that internally. So we say, hey, I'm logging off today from 3 to 4, I'm going to therapy. Or I'm going to check in. And we normalize what needs to happen internally so that we can then go and do a campaign like we did in January with Megan Trainor around her own mental health journey and why she turned to Bobbie. Again, we cannot go and do that campaign unless we have the receipts internally, unless we're supporting our own mothers first on our team. And now Megan Trainor, of all people, who's feeding her baby Bobbie, can carry that torch for us to a wider community, to a wider network of parents, to media, to press. And it allows us to show what we stand for as a company, and that all is rooted back in the product that we're all using together.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that's really interesting about Hinge and the way that we share our daters' journeys, if you see any Hinge press, every couple you see is a real Hinge couple. And that oftentimes surprises people, but it's one of the things that's really important to us because it is about that authentic dating journey, which if you've been on it, you know that you can have those ups and downs, but ultimately, you find your partner, it's really worth it. And so we think about always bringing that authenticity and that realness to that experience. And our employees really appreciate that. We do something internally within Hinge we call Wrap, where we meet with all employees across the company every other week. And we always end Wrap with a success story. And we will have, everybody, is like screaming and rallying. Sometimes you have tears, but we're always focused on what's happening for the real couples and never losing sight of that.
Yeah, that makes me think, I wanted to add on to that too, because we did something so simple that built up so much internal love at the company, and it's this Slack channel. We're a fully remote company, by the way. We're in 24 states, except for we have a manufacturing facility, obviously, but our corporate team is in 24 states. We started this Slack channel called Love Letters. And it's anytime a CX, social, a friend, anytime someone's had a beautiful, positive experience on our product, we just copy paste it and we share it in the Love Letters channel. And it's this constant flywheel always on. Every single day there's new content popping in there. And it's a reminder of the impact that we're making and how much we're serving new parents and what this campaign or this social post or this product or this new feature has really unlocked for their experience. And so bringing awareness to that positive flywheel, no matter what you do, is so important. And just creating transparency for your team to be able to easily access that. And they don't have to reply. You don't have to give it an emoji if you don't want to, but you know that it's coming in. And when you see and read it, it kind of just warms your heart and it keeps you motivated to keep going.
Absolutely.
Okay, I have to say one more thing. I'm
Please
sorry.
do.
This is so exciting. We didn't know this was going to happen. We were like, we're going to have too much fun. So we get, Hinge, wedding invitations, and we get baby announcements all the time. And I actually met somebody today who I need you to send me a baby announcement, and your kid just got potty trained somewhere. Your Hinge baby got potty trained.
This is where the partnership is going to happen.
Exactly. But we put those wedding announcements and those baby announcements all over the walls of our office. And people will come in. So if you ever come visit the Hinge office, you'll see all these Hinge couples, and you just think like, this is what we're doing in the world.
Wow.
We're connecting people with maybe the most important relationship of their life. It could end up having babies. It's just like really you never lose sight of the people you're impacting. It's huge.
Absolutely. Yeah. Charter internally also has a fan mail channel. So if anyone wants to post online about this event, we'll be reading it on Slack. But the research does actually show that celebrating those small wins, whether that's in an internal channel or during a meeting, does help engage employees, keeps them aligned with your strategy, your vision, especially during times of change and uncertainty. I would love to also ask you, how do you cultivate not just consumer brand ambassadors, but also voices that boost employer brand?
Yeah, I think this is huge because you really have to earn it. I think that if you're an employer and you think that you can just talk about it and not really earn that belief from your people, then you are missing something. And so we think about that quite a bit at Hinge. There are a few things we do, so we're always, of course, surveying our people, checking in, making sure that we understand where they are. And we also have a feedback council we call the Hinge Feedback Council, where we will talk about if there's tough feedback or if there's something we're trying to launch and we want to get their perspective. So we really never lose sight of bringing our people in to that experience. And I think that ultimately, and I would give this advice really to any employer, if what you express in the world is not what your people experience, then you're off. And you just have to constantly be measuring and being sure that's real.
One of our core values at Bobbie is radical transparency. And that comes through from how we educate about ingredients to what is going into the product to why we made this decision. All of that happens every single day in how we show up. And we also try really hard to bring radical transparency to our culture and to our team in-house. I created this Slack channel a couple years ago called Attendance Channel. And the point of it was actually to just figure out where people were. Like, are you here today? Like, are you flying? Where are you doing? Because it was hard to keep up as we were growing this team. And it's become this beautiful Slack channel where people bring their radical transparency to the workplace. And it's things like, hey, got to step out for a pediatrician appointment today. Hey, my baby didn't sleep last night. I'm going to log off this morning. I just need a couple hours to myself. I got to go to my kids' play. Like, my dog died yesterday. I just need the day off. All of these ways in which you start oversharing, like such oversharers at Bobbie in the best way. But it creates this culture of transparency where, like, you understand what people are going through and you can be there for them in a different way than just being like, did you get the deadline? Did you get the thing? It's like, how are you doing today? Are you okay? And when you create that radical transparency in-house, it does build trust. And it also makes work this really beautiful, safe place. And when you're especially a brand team, when you have that safe place, people come with their wild ass ideas and they feel like they can throw spaghetti at the wall and they're not going to be criticized or judged, or it's this really tight, weird culture. It's like, I know that I'm amongst friends. I know that I can bring my ideas to the table. So the way in which the smallest thing starts to trickle into how you actually execute, I've seen it completely evolve on our team as well.
I love that example. And I like that you're getting into kind of on the lower levels of the organization when you're looking at middle managers and teams. I'd love to hear some examples about how you've seen managers successfully weave in product and external messaging into their internal work they do day to day.
Yeah, I mean, I think at Hinge, I mean, this is what we do. So our managers are constantly talking about it. We're thinking obviously about caring for our employees and bringing that into, the product experience. So we, if you think about the Hinge ecosystem, the employees, they represent our daters, so we're asking them questions about, product features or things that we're doing. And our managers are checking in with our employees as well. One of the things that we do is we will give managers training on coaching and understanding how to spot signs of burnout, how to ask the right questions. And our employees actually say, 95% of our employees say that their manager genuinely cares about their well-being. And I think that that's a really powerful stat, similar to what you were saying, Kim. You were spending so much time at work. You're spending time in this place, and it needs to feel like a community. And so the fact that so many people are feeling that sense of connection, I think, is really core to the way that we're building internally within Hinge, and you're seeing it come out in the product experience, the decisions we make about what features we launch or how we coach daters on our app.
Yeah.
Helping them to think about writing prompts better, and prompts is, I don't know if people know what Hinge prompts are. Some of my Hinge daters do, but that's where you tell a little bit more about yourself. The Hinge profile is it gets more deep into who you are, and you're answering different questions. And so we even think about coaching our daters the same way we coach our employees internally.
I would say one of the things that we know to be true, and this was also part of our Megan Trainor campaign, was that parents have a really hard time, especially mothers, asking for help. Like, you feel like you got to be the martyr, you got to just do it, you got to figure it out on your own. And changing that, not only externally but internally, hey, like, know when to ask for help. You're not in this alone. And I think as a manager, trying to create the culture of like, know when to delegate, but also know when to step in and do the work alongside your employee. I mean, I can't tell you guys, I'm down 3 people right now on maternity leave. That's the nature of Bobbie, and we're doing our best to fill it in. But there's days where I am in Canva helping to make a social post. There's days where I'm in the DMs replying to somebody. There's, not every day, but I can tell when my team is drowning, and I don't want to have to even wait for them to ask for help versus me stepping in and saying, what can I do to help you? And so I do think I think it's powerful to know when to raise your hand, and also when your team's hitting a tipping point, right? Like, we've all been there where you're like, oh, vibes are not strong right now. Like, what do we do? So know when to call that out and just address the elephant in the room. And I'll say, guys, I know, like, we're in it so hard right now. I know everyone's working hard. This is not sustainable, and I'm not asking for it to be. Let's just get through this next week. Let's figure out how to get through this moment, and then we can hit stable state again. But just calling it out and saying it first, saying what everyone's thinking as a leader, I think is incredibly important. It can build a lot of trust and credibility with your team, and then empowering your managers to do the same for their team.
Right, and we've talked a lot about what happens when everything is going right and your internal and external messaging is in alignment. But how do you know when they might be out of step, and what is the danger of that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we've got to start with saying, if you're listening to your people, you're going to know. They're going to tell you. And I think that's probably the most important thing, is constantly be listening. Over the course of my career, and I've experienced this personally, I've seen as companies scale, getting out of step. And the words that you have on the wall are not actually what people are experiencing, or the things that you go out and tell people externally is not what the experience is internally. And your people know it, and they feel it. And if you give them the space, they'll call you on it. And so I think that is probably the most important thing. You're asking the questions, you're opening up, you're constantly listening, and you are giving your people space to tell you, because they are really the ones that are going to say something's off. And as long as you're doing that, you'll hear from them. But you've got to give them the platform to do it. And I think that culture has to be a constant checking in, a constant being open. And this is, again, not just the words on the wall, but it's got to be how you practice and live it every day.
I would completely agree with that. And I would say for us, I think the misalignment sometimes happening when people coming in to apply is, we're 4 years in, we've won a bunch of brand awards, we have this beautiful consumer brand that people adore. And I think there's this feeling that, oh, they've got it together, they're very buttoned up, there's a big budget here, we're gonna sail through. And I'm like, that's not where we're at. We are still in like very much a lean team, growth mindset, we're sprinting, for this year. And I try to really tell people ahead of time, like, this is what it's like to work at Bobbie. We have moments where it's going to be hard, and I might text you or call you on the weekend to help me with something, or, you have unlimited time off, you have all these great benefits, I'm not going to micromanage you, but we are in it right now. And so trying to align people, like, this is not Microsoft. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not sailing through here. So, sorry, Microsoft. But like, we're not this huge buttoned up company. Sometimes we're still figuring it out internally and figuring out the right processes and all of those things. And so I try to just be really honest with people about that, because if that's what you're expecting because of how you consumed our brand from the outside, it's not quite
Absolutely.
Not quite as shiny and perfect on the inside. We're still working through all of that.
Right, and I'm sure that's something we can all relate to regardless of our company size.
Yeah.
And I think with that, we're at time, but thank you so much, Kim and Angel, for your valuable insights.
Thank you.